Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This is a video all about homestays at Kansai Gaidai University. Just a reminder, my name is Abigail and I'm studying abroad due to the Gilman Scholarship and the Freeman Asia Scholarship. You can learn more about those scholarships on my YouTube channel. So if you're interested in doing a homestay or a host family, I wanted to give you some more specific information to kind of help you things that I had questions about and wanted to know. There is some information on Kansai Gaidai's website online, but it's very vague and doesn't explain a lot of the process, which makes sense because it depends on when you're coming, your family, the semester you study abroad, but hopefully this can help answer questions that you may have. So for the spring semester, this year, they were offering homestays to extension students. This is their first time bringing the homestay program back since COVID processes and regulations were very strict here. So it was just offered for extension students, people who studied abroad at Kansai Gaidai last semester. You could opt in to apply for a homestay instead of dorm life or seminar house life or living off campus and renting an apartment. So our semester classes begin February 5th. For reference, host family information where you were placed was emailed Monday, January 29th. So they do email your information close to the start of classes just to make sure that if you change your mind, it doesn't get the host family's hopes up and then at the last minute you cancel. So that's why they wait a bit longer for the placement. Mandatory orientation is given to talk about tips and precautions for starting life in a host family, things that are different from your culture, things that are pretty expected and normal for Japanese household rules. One of the common things is having a curfew. Usually around 10 p.m. from what I've heard is the curfew because the family will stay up waiting for you to get home. It isn't like a bed and breakfast or a hotel where you just come and go as you please. And they feed you 2 meals a day during the week, I believe, and 3 meals a day on the weekend. So they want to make sure you're home for dinner or you're up for breakfast and they know what you're doing. So to help with that, on February 2nd, one day before I move in to their house, is a 1-hour orientation on Nakamiya campus talking about those tips and cultural values. Next, the day after, on February 3rd, I'll meet with my host family on Gotenyama campus, which is where Yui is located, and then move into their house afterwards. So the time you meet with your family on the 3rd is sent in your host family information that came out on the 29th. And then also before you can move in with your host family, before the meeting you have to do an inspection of your dorm room just to make sure you didn't damage anything and the condition is clean and okay, and if there's any things you have fines for, just like you would at your normal university at home. So when you meet your host family, you'll bring all your belongings to the meeting. So next they shared this poster with us. So for the homestay programs, the CIE, or the Center for International Education, is in charge of the program. This means that if you have any problems, any conflicts with your host families, financial problems, anything like that, you should contact the CIE housing coordinators. They're very easily accessible in person and through email. Another thing to keep in mind is that the homestay expense you pay is not enough to cover all of the services your family will provide. Maybe they take you on trips or pick you up from school, drop you off at school sometimes, and they're making you a lot of meals. They do get a small stipend, but they're hosting you, you're using their water, their electricity, their Wi-Fi. So Kansai Gaidai wants you to keep a grateful mindset. So remember to be kind and appreciative to your host family. The next point is no arubaito, or part-time job. If you elect to do a homestay, you are not permitted in any way to have any type of employment. If you do find a part-time job, you'll be terminated immediately from the homestay program and it would look really, really bad. So please keep that in mind. Also, again, about the curfew, Japanese families usually lock their front door before 10 p.m. If you come home late at night, someone must be kept up waiting to open the door for you. Therefore, you should be home by 10 p.m. Please be sure to tell your host family beforehand if you'll be late or if you won't have dinner, so they don't worry and they know where you are. Just remember that it's not your dorm room, and you do have to have a bit of communication like you would with your own family. Also, no visitors after 10 p.m. Of course, if you do have visitors, you would need to ask and make sure to get your family's permissions first, as it's their house. I would have to do the same thing at home with my family. And then if you bring someone of the opposite gender into your room, it is not allowed at all, so do not do it. You cannot do it, but they can be in the house with you as long as you ask. They just cannot be under any circumstances in your private room. Also, if you want to bring guests to dinner, you just need to ask the host family well in advance. I don't think they would be very harsh or say no unless you were doing it all the time, but of course it's okay to bring friends. Next, I wanted to show this agreement. So I haven't filled this out yet. I'll fill it out when I meet with my host family on the 3rd. This is what the meeting's for, to kind of discuss your ground rules. So for each family it's different, so that's why you'll make it together with your family. If your Japanese level is low, a translator will be at the meeting with everyone so they can help. So first, you'll set your curfew, that usually 10 p.m. Be sure to tell your host family what time you plan to come home every day. It could be great to share your class schedule, and let them know if you're coming home later than scheduled. For the house key, there are 3 options. You might be given a key, you might be told where the key is kept on the property, or you may not be given a key. Since they're required to feed you, you'll agree on a breakfast time and a dinner time. Again, if you are not going to eat dinner, make sure you let your family know, and make sure you list what foods you don't like, cannot eat, or should avoid eating. Of course, it doesn't include lunches on the weekdays, but you can get a very cheap lunch on campus. And if a meal cannot be made, the host family is expected to make some sort of arrangement in return, such as prepping your meal at night, having it ready in the fridge, or giving you money to cover the cost of the lunch that was missed, something like that. In terms of baths or shower, they asked if there's a special order in taking baths. Usually in Japanese families, certain people go first, maybe the dad, then the mom, then the older siblings to the youngest, so there may be some type of order you want to respect. And what time do you usually take baths or showers, and if it's okay to shower in the morning. So just keep in mind that it is, of course, a different culture from what you're used to. Laundry. This one was very surprising to me. There are 3 options of your host family's willing to do the laundry for you. Even at home in the US, my family does not do my laundry for me, so that was really surprising. Your host family will do some of it, except for certain items, or to do it yourself. I'm someone who has always done my laundry, so I'm okay with doing it myself. It seems a little so different to me, but that's just culture, and they'll tell you about how Japanese families tend to overcare, and sometimes it can feel a bit much to foreign exchange students, but I think having your host family doing your laundry for you is definitely one of their signs of caring a lot about you. Again, cleaning your room, vacuuming, picking up clothes, there's an option for your host family's willing to do it, or for you to do it so many times a week. Again, it could be a mixture of both, but that's a reflection of just the Japanese truly caring for their children themselves and treating you like a family member. With heating and cooling, you want to make sure you use care with the heating and cooling equipment. Don't run the heat all day, turn it off when you're not there, turn the electricity off when you're not home. It's very important in Japanese society, and probably a bit stricter than what you're used to in America. You'll agree on what chores you're supposed to do. Maybe you need to wash the dishes or clean the bathroom or something like that, but your family will talk it out what chores you need to do. Of course, if you lose or damage any properties, you'll have to take responsibility. You'll talk about Wi-Fi access. Can you use their Wi-Fi? Yes, no. How many minutes you should use it for. Again, a little bit stricter there, like you're seeing with some of the other things. And you should not make phone calls after a certain time. I don't think most families would be strict about Wi-Fi usage. I just know they like to keep electricity use lower and be environmentally conscious and friendly, which is a great thing. So just keep that in mind, that you won't be able to run the heat maybe as much as you're used to, or the air as you would in your dorm room, and you may not always have Wi-Fi access. If you're going out or staying overnight, make sure to tell your host family. In terms of your schedule, make sure you discuss any plans beforehand, especially if you have weekend plans. Let your family know in case they want to schedule something with you, or just because you won't be there. Then you'll talk about inviting friends. Are you allowed to invite friends if you have permission? Yes or no? Especially if you want to have meals, and to be mindful of certain things. Maybe they have certain days they don't want people, or late times they come home from work. They'll go over that with you. Of course, then you'll agree to no type of employment. If you have any financial issues, you cannot borrow money from your family. You need to contact the office. Your family will take you to the city office to register the move on your residence card, and they'll just put your new address on your card. Or if you haven't stayed in Japan before, you'll get a resident card and put that address as where you live. You'll also need to join the Japanese National Health Insurance if you stay in Japan for more than 3 months. So whether you do 1 semester or 2 semesters, you'll need to join this insurance, and it'll need to be updated for the host family's address as well. Lastly, they have the period of stay, at least for this spring 2024 semester. You have to leave your host family before June 6, 2024. You cannot stay any longer, and even if you become super close, you can't stay outside of the homestay. You can't make any negotiations like that. They'll have a chance to list any other concerns they have, and then you'll sign, and once this is done, they'll take you to their house. And the last thing I wanted to share with you are what kind of questions did they ask in the homestay questionnaire. So, for me, here are the questions that I had to fill out in my application. You can go ahead and start thinking through these answers if you're interested and have something written up, or let me know if you need any help or have any questions about it. So number 1, why did you apply for the homestay program at Kansai Gaidai? Do you mind if they have children? My host family does have one child living with them. They're over 18, but they still live in the family home, which is pretty common for Asian countries. Tell us about the family members living with you. Do you smoke? Do you have any allergies to smoking? Do you like animals and pets? Tell us about your favorite food. Do you have any food allergies or religious restrictions? Tell us what foods you cannot eat or are restricted from eating. Tell us what foods you dislike. What do you expect to learn by living with a Japanese family? If you speak any other foreign languages beside English, have you participated in a homestay program before? When, where, what length of time, if so? Tell us about your hobbies. Tell us about your personality. Any concerns you have, what you would like to experience in the homestay, and any information about your medical history or physical challenges. So just to share a little bit, for me, I didn't mind my host family having children. I love animals and pets. For foods, I made sure to put a couple that I dislike, since I'm not a seafood eater, and Japan is definitely a seafood eater. And I've never done a homestay program before, so don't worry if you haven't. That won't hurt your chances. And for concerns about homestay, I did make sure to mention that I was concerned about a long travel commute, that I didn't want it to be any longer than 1 hour away from campus. My homestay is 43 minutes away from Nakamiya campus. It's a 3-minute walk to the bus stop and then a 40-minute bus ride. So it's not bad, and they did listen to my concern there. But I believe most are about an hour away, However, I think some can be longer. So if that is a concern for you, make sure to put that down, especially because I have a 9 a.m. class, at least one 9 a.m. class. So that will have me getting up a lot earlier versus if I lived on Yui and I could just walk over to Nakamiya in about 15 minutes. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know, or if you need help thinking of some answers to those questions. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope you'll be interested in trying a homestay as well. So thank you so much for watching.